Welcome to the place where we should do the night shift all the time.
Yeah.
For the first time doing video, which we will be doing more of.
We're going to try to.
This is the place to do it. We are at the Highland in London. My name is Mike Stubbs. This is Kyle Grimard. Now you get to see our faces.
Yeah, a little bit more FaceTime. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we're going to be here, unfortunately.
Well, we are here because the Knights are having their annual golf tournament at the Highland, and that means the training camp's pretty close. It will open the week of August the 25th, and then we're into preseason hockey at the end of that week. So pretty close. A lot of signings to talk about, Kyle.
Yep.
We're actually going to speak with a player who is returning to the Knights, a player who is just graduating from the Knights, both Memorial Cup champions, and we're also going to talk with a player who now has 2 kids. His career is in full flight, but does remember being a part of the 2012 OHL championship team. Colin Martin is coming up later. Jacob Julian is coming up later. And Evan Van Gorp coming up later. Signings all over the league. This is strange, Kyle. It's almost weird looking and saying, how are these depth charts going to work themselves out? Every team seems to have a lot of guys going into camp.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? It's going to create competition going into camp. A lot of teams, the Knights in particular, they're losing a lot of guys coming off of Memorial Cup run, and a lot of those players were key contributors to the team. Now they're going to have some players from last year's team are going to take that next step and step up into those leadership roles, but they're going to be added spots where players are going to maybe fill in the cracks and see how the dynamic works. One of the things that we talked about that we had a chance to speak with some of the guys, a lot of size coming in from the London Knights, specifically on the back end. You're going to see a lot of 6'3", a lot of 6'4" players who are going to be physical, and it's going to make things very difficult in the London Knights end.
Well, the first stop is going to take us away from direct video, but it will give you a sense of the 4 most recent signings by the London Knights, and they do include big defensemen, and you'll hear Knights Associate General Manager Rob Simpson talk about that fact and what it takes to win in the playoffs. And this is becoming no secret in hockey. You need that size, and you need to have it on the blue line, especially if you want to survive, because Kyle, playoffs they're a war of attrition. They really are. It's hard to do what the Knights have done the last, now 3 years.
Well, and then like in junior hockey as well, it's you go 4 7-game series, potentially almost up to 28 games. And then afterwards, you go and play a tournament against the 3 other champion teams along with a host city. So it's just an added grind even more. And you saw London go 13, 14, 15 forwards deep. You saw them go 8, 9, 10 defensemen, and every guy stepped up, whether it was for a game, whether it was for 5, or whether it was the entire playoffs. Guys like that step up and do, as big a part of their job as they can, and that helps you propel yourself to become OHL champion and then obviously Memorial Cup champion.
In the last week, the London Knights have signed Linus Funk. He comes over from Sweden. They have signed Julian Brown. They have signed Cody Wood and also goaltender Seb Gatto. We had a chance to talk with Knights Associate GM Rob Simpson about all 4 signings. Rob, here we are enjoying beautiful sunshine. Soon it'll be the beautiful inside of arenas everywhere. You got 4 new players that we haven't even touched on yet. First off, 6'4", Seb Gatto, a goaltender. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, he's a big boy, and we've been recruiting him for a lot of years and talking to him and his family. He went to the BCHL last year, and with the new rules opening up, gained a lot more interest in looking at our league, and we're excited to be able to sign him. And he's a big athletic goalie. We drafted him not in his first year of eligibility as well. That's how much we believed in him. So we think with him, we got a real good tandem to go with Alexei Medvedev this season.
Fantastic. Okay, let's move out to a couple of defensemen. One who was signed most recently, and that is Linus Funk, who we've talked about before coming off the European import draft, but now he's coming to London.
Yeah, we're excited. Colorado was great, and when we were talking to him about signing and coming to London, and we just love his offensive upside. We're losing some defense from last year and such a strong D-core, and he's going to bring puck moving offense. He wants to get up in the rush. He wants to make plays. He's a big body as well, which we like our D-core to be big and be imposing to play against. So we're really excited to have him and welcome him to our club.
If you go down the roster, 6'3", 6'3", 6'4". There's a lot of big bodies there.
Yeah, it's tough to win in the playoffs if you don't have size. If you're small, you got to be pretty dynamic, and if you can get a bigger D like him that has offensive skill and can do some of those things as well, it's just an added bonus for us.
All right, let's talk about a couple of other signings. Cody Wood, an 8th-round pick of the Knights this year.
Yeah, had a fantastic year in U18. Was one of the top players in U18 and has taken big steps. We just did our fitness testing recently and scored very high. You can tell that he's been putting in a lot of work, and he's a cerebral type player that makes plays. He can defend well, understands the game, and his hockey sense is very high level.
And then finally, you have Julian Brown, who, when he was signing, standing beside him was Tony Ostrangis.
Yeah, that was funny. I actually got a text because I asked him to go, take a picture and sign your contract, and then Tony Ostrangis sends me ones back and says, "Hey, he's here with me signing." So, kind of a blast from a past, and it was nice to talk to Tony. And with Julian, another big, strong defender that brings a physical element that we need in our lineup, and he's going to be tough to play against. And again, another player that played out in the BCHL last year.
Simmer, thanks for this.
Thank you.
Rob Simpson there, and I always love hearing his in-depth information about the players coming in, especially if Knights fans or even individuals like myself, I haven't got a chance to really see them yet. Now you get a little insight into some of these guys and what they're going to bring to the table.
That's it. And what was the key ingredient for a lot of them? Size. From
Yes.
Seb Gatto, who is 6'4" in net, to the size on defense that Julian Brown brings, and those Tony Ostrangis. So there's, again, those ins and outs and what your alumni can certainly bring. And it's fantastic to see the opportunities that exist for players right now. Now we have to see how this shakes out. And the more people you talk to, Kyle, it's probably a 2-year period to see, all right, what guys are going to be leaving leagues like the USHL or might not go there and might just come to the OHL or the Q or the Western Hockey League first. What will happen there? And then what age do guys maybe elect to make a jump and try NCAA? How are guys who are 18 years old going to fare playing against 21, 22, sometimes even 23-year-olds in the NCAA? I mean, these are men's bodies. It is a bit of a different thing. So now we've got to see how all of that lines up, and we will. In the meantime, the Knights are gearing up for training camp, and a guy who had maybe the biggest celebration size-wise, number of people-wise, of any London Knight, and there have been some big ones with the guys getting their day with the Memorial Cup this summer. Evan Van Gorp had, I think, the entire town of Watford and all of the surrounding county out to help him celebrate. Here is our discussion with Evan Van Gorp. Evan Van Gorp, what has this summer been like? You had a massive celebration that we have to talk to, but does it feel like every weekend there are guys saying, here's what I'm doing with the Memorial Cup, anyone want to come?
Oh, yeah, it's been unbelievable, That party was just awesome. Everyone that I grew up with was there, and all my family and friends. So it was pretty cool to share us out with all of them.
There was family, there was friends, and then there seemed to be also an entire county that arrived. How many autographs did you sign that day?
Yeah, it was pretty busy, honestly. Wofford came out to support me, so I'm very appreciative of that. And then I told them all to come out to our house after. We were having a big party for the winning of the Memorial Cup, so yeah, it was pretty cool.
Did you tell anybody who owned the house that they were going to come out to the house after? Or?
Yeah, no, it was not really, but yeah, I just told them to come out and it'd be a good time, so yeah.
Take us back. I mean, during the Memorial Cup, everything flies by. There's a lot of pressure. Is there anything that you've thought back about, any goal or any moment that you think about?
I don't know, maybe like Simmer's goal in the OHL finals just to get us there. That was a big-time moment, probably one of the biggest moments of the season. So I'd say one of those for sure. Or potting one early in the Memorial Cup finals. That was big, just get ahead and kind of everyone could take a deep breath after that moment.
You jumped into the celebration there. You were on the ice, right?
Yeah. So that was very special to be a part of.
Looking ahead, now you've seen for 2 years what it takes. You've been a part of what it takes, but now you're in that much bigger role where you are a go-to guy, you are an older guy, you are a leader. How ready are you for that?
Yeah, I've been preparing all summer, so I'm just excited to get things going, and I can't wait to be a part of it this season, and yeah, I'm excited.
The team keeps signing defensemen that are like 6'2", 6'3", and bigger, so you got some guys behind you.
Yeah, we got really good D this year, so I'm excited. We're not gonna allow a lot of goals. Medvedev, he's gonna be unbelievable for us. So yeah, if we can just get on the score sheet, I think we'll be fine.
Look forward to it. Evan,
Yeah.
thanks.
No problem.
London Knights forward, Evan Van Gorp, and he's somebody, Kyle, who again knows how to win. Last year, 19 goals and nearly had that 20th. There was that chance that he had that went through the crease against the Windsor Spitfires. This close to a 20-goal season, but he wasn't playing power play minutes very often. And he wasn't getting the kind of ice time that maybe top two-line guys are going to get. He's going to get that this year.
Well, he's going to get that. And I think, when he was selected in the NHL entry draft, I think a lot of teams are going, okay, like, what was this kid able to do? And I think this coming year, you're going to get a chance to see the entirety of it. You're going to get a chance to watch him play, in that top six on a pretty regular basis. You're going to watch him play top power play time. We've seen it with a ton of top guys before. They'll play power play, but they'll also play penalty kill as well. So they're going to have opportunities to play all along the ice. But, it was funny. We saw Evan a little bit earlier. He's chatting it up with Dale Hunter, and Dale's making references. He jokes. He's like, all right, if you sink this, you're on PP1. If you don't, we'll see. So it's already good to see like that dynamic going back and forth between a player and a coach. And I know it's like we're on a golf course, but it's always great to see that, and that's going to continue on into the regular season.
It's part of the family atmosphere. It exists within this team, and it's one of the reasons why you do see that success. Jacob Julian knows the success. He comes in as a guy who may not have, in other circumstances, even made the Ontario Hockey League. He was a guy at Western, earns his spot on the team, earns his spot as a draft pick for the Winnipeg Jets, leads things off in the Memorial Cup final, scores the very first goal. That was the one we were talking about with Evan Van Gorp, where you see Van Gorp jump into the pile almost as the last guy in after that first goal. And now he heads off to his pro career with the Winnipeg Jets organization, having signed this past year with the Winnipeg Jets. And Kyle had a chance to talk with Jacob Julian.
All right, Jacob, appreciate you joining us. They're already calling you Showtime out there, which is pretty good. You make a putt over here, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I've contributed a couple times. They've been carrying me hard, so I don't know. We're just having a good time and getting to know each other.
We were just talking a little bit about the summer and how it's all been, and for you, obviously coming off the Memorial Cup win, has this been one of the more relaxing summers for you to an extent, knowing that you've hit that pinnacle for junior hockey?
Yeah, I mean, at least we won it, right? We started the summer on a good note, so we were really happy about that. But take a couple weeks off and then get right back to work for next season.
There were so many great moments from last year, from the regular season, obviously the postseason, and then the tournament. Is there a moment or two that sticks out for you that you look back on as something you're never going to forget?
Oh, honestly, I think just winning it all, right? As soon as that timer came down, everyone going down to Austin, and everyone celebrating, hugging each other. You're never going to forget that. It's just etched in history.
Was that experience the year prior of coming so close against Saginaw really come into play in that final game? Because you guys looked like a completely different team.
Absolutely, we had a different mentality. We wanted to win so badly. We just didn't want to lose, right? We didn't want to feel that feeling again. So we knew that we weren't coming away. We weren't going away without it.
No. And what's up for you for the rest of summer, heading into camp and for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I think just continue to work. Get in the gym, get on the golf course a couple times, and hang out with buddies, and then head out to Winnipeg and take off for the season.
It's exciting. A lot of people are going to be cheering you on down there, and we look forward to it, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
There is Jacob Julian, of course, headed off to Winnipeg Jets camp in just a few short weeks from now as he gets ready, as you mentioned, to kick off his pro career. And it's so fun talking to the guys like that and hearing, what are you up to this summer? Like, how much time do you get off? Just a couple weeks. I'm right back into training, and that's just the regimen. And that's what happens, too, when you go OHL final, OHL championship, Memorial Cup run, OHL championship, Memorial Cup victory. And but that's the grind, and they love it too. And that's what these guys do. It's why they play. It's why they do everything that they do, because the pinnacle of winning, and you just saw how excited Evan Van Gorp was. You saw how excited Jacob Julian was to not only talk about it, but you get to reminisce. And that's something that they're etched forever in. They are champions for this team.
How many guys do we see moving back to the London area on past championship teams because you've always got that connection, or how close those teams will stay? This team will do exactly that. And now, to close things off, we had an opportunity to sit down with Colin Martin. Well, to stand up with Colin Martin. And when you stand up with Colin Martin, he's about 6'4", and the two of us are not quite there. Kyle's a little closer than I am. That's why we're sitting down in these chairs. But Colin Martin, 4-year career with the London Knights, a guy who learned what it took to play in the OHL by watching players closely. A relative of his, Corey Perry. So if you're going to learn what it takes, there it is. And then plays 4 years for the London Knights, and that caps off in a championship in 2012. Here's our conversation with Colin Martin. Colin Martin. We could go back to Duds and Studs. Now, if you have been a Knights fan long enough, you'll remember Duds and Studs because you got called Dudley. Now, do we want to go into the story why you were called Dudley?
It's just an old high school nickname. Maybe we'll just keep it at that.
Okay. It has nothing to do with that size 16 feet?
It might be how big my hands and feet were. But
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It was good. It was good. Lots of playful times back then. It was lots of fun.
Let's talk a little bit about your career. You win a championship with the Knights, but even before that, if you look very carefully, when the 2005 Knights team is winning the Memorial Cup, Colin Martin is in that celebration, not as a player, although you were a player at the time. What were you, about 12?
I think I was in grade 8 when they won the Memorial Cup. Yeah, I was fortunate that Corey Perry was living with my family. He's a family member, and yeah, they asked for a stick boy that year, and I got to hang out a little bit, and it was a good year to pick to hang out with the team. Seeing the Memorial Cup there really made me want to play for the team.
How much did you learn about what it would eventually take for you to play in the Ontario Hockey League?
You learn every time you go in the room to see what they do on a day-to-day. Like, nobody, I guess, to see that part of it. Well, I guess with YouTube and all the stuff they do behind the scenes now, they're starting to see it. But back then, just being around them, seeing what they do, the little things they do, that really makes a difference.
And then making the London Knights after seeing this team, what do you remember from that time where you knew, yeah, I've earned a spot?
It's pretty cool the first time you're walking out there in skates and you're not stopping there when the doors close, right? So no, it was amazing. It was amazing playing in front of family every day, and people don't get to do that very often. So it was a really cool 4 years for me, and 10 it off with the championship was even better.
That's it. Your last year is a year where it was really unexpected because you guys at one point were down 2-1 to Saginaw in the second round, and I think the thinking was, if they don't win, they don't win. They've learned a lot. You had some young guys on the team who would then go into the next year. What was it that in that room made you believe, no, we can do this?
I think we were so close-knit, we understood how good the young guys were. I mean, our two 16-year-olds were Max Domi and Bo Horvat.
Remember the fourth line?
Yeah, it was
Chris Tierney, Josh Anderson,
and
Bo Horvat.
Great careers, right? So seeing those guys succeed at the next level, and I think that by Christmas time and after, they bought into what they needed to do, and they started ripping it up from there, and it was a cool thing to sit back and watch, and to still watch them today is pretty awesome.
So how are you doing now? Give us an idea of what you're up to. How many kids?
I'm good. I work for Navigator Financial. I got 2 kids, wife Cassidy, Marley's 5, my daughter, and my son Sutter's 2. It's a busy time in the Martin household right now, but it's great.
Colin, we'll let you go. Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Former London Knight, Colin Martin. And you know what? When he talks about his kids, he has great hockey playing genes. His wife has great hockey playing genes. Maybe we may be talking about them in the future. So look out for the last name Martin and an OHL priority selection or a PWHL draft sometime off in the future. We'll see. We will probably not be, Kyle, at a place quite as beautiful as this. I don't know if you can see the 100 Kellogg Lane duck in the background.
Oh, yeah.
That may not be a part of our next podcast. I hope it is, actually. I don't know. Do you have a duck like that at your house?
Not that big.
No?
No.
Not that big. Okay.
No.
All right. We may go to Kyle's house then to record this next one. But thank you. You can look for us on YouTube on the Knights channel this year. You can look for us on the 980 CFPL YouTube channel. And we'll also have all of our audio online at either Curious Cast Network or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, certainly Spotify, anywhere where you find your shows as we get ready for a training camp and a preseason that goes lickety-split. And then pretty soon, Kyle, we'll see the London Knights raising one banner, and you'll see other banners, a lot of them, appearing in the roof, in the rafters at Canada Life Place.
Yep, it's going to be exciting. They got a preseason game at the Western Fair. If you buy your ticket, you'll actually get entry into the fair too, which is always exciting. And those preseason games at different spots and venues are always a fun time.
Definitely. And hey, thanks to Erie for doing that, because it essentially gives the Knights an extra home game. And we've got a lot of competition in camp. We've got a lot of competition for spots, for roles. First time in a long time that you really look and say, all right, there are some real variables at work here. Who's going to step into what role? Can't wait to find out.
Could be fun.